Live and ready.
All right, guys. How are we?
Here we go.
Let us know in the comments who's here. Welcome to our first live stream together here on YouTube. I hope this time round the mics are better. Uh, last week, it was a bit of a first off kind of trial run. We did have some issues with the mic. As you can see here, we have a little friend with us. Maddie, hold him up.
Second, here we go, guys.
This is Bernie.
Little Bernie, say
Bernie
hello.
is our technical analyst
The latest edition, the latest apprentice.
here at Empire. All right, guys, let's get into the stream. There's been a lot of things that have been happening in the markets over the last couple of days. MacBook is here in the chat. Costa, okay, Dad.
Love it.
Guys, do us a
Good
favor.
job.
If you can, smash that like button for us. What it'll do is it'll help us to get our stream out there to more people. The more times you can smash like, the better it'll be for us. Let's build this Facebook, YouTube page together as we share the good word of the market. So, Peter, welcome, mate. Welcome. So, let's talk a little bit about what happened this week, Matty. Wow, a bit of a choppy ride this week.
Choppy ride. I was going to talk about this setup. How long did this take to set up?
Oh, the setup.
Guys, I have to go. We have to address this, right? The last couple of weeks has been an absolute mission to set up this podcast set. We had no idea what we were doing, but I tell you now, I probably spent the last 2 days hammering this out so we can get this right.
Oh,
So this sound should be coming through crystal clear, and if it's not, please let me know.
let us know.
Because if it isn't, I'm wrapping it up, Seds.
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
done.
We're
I'm going to work at
packing
Macca's.
Hey,
guys.
Look, we're traders. We're not audiovisual
Yes.
technicians, but
But I think we got there in the end. We do have some extra lights and stuff coming as well in the next couple of days, so it's going to be a full-blown setup.
it should be good.
But guys, the market this week, a lot of chop, right?
A lot of chop.
Absolute chaos at the moment.
Yeah, well,
So-
I think a lot of it stemmed down to, guys, a lot of it is coming down to this Israel and Iran war. We also had the interest rates that came out this week, well, the Fed's FOMC decision. And we usually expect a lot of volatility coming into an FOMC meeting. But given the fact that this particular FOMC meeting, we had the war going on at the same time, here is what Jerome Powell, the guy who essentially makes the decisions, had to say. And oh, no, it's doing that thing again where you can't see my whole screen. Oh, look at that. It's just one thing after the other, isn't it, Matty? It really is. Oh,
That's right. There we go.
Yeah, we fixed it.
It was just a filter glitch.
Just a little filter glitch. So what we want to see for a bullish market is for interest rates to be cut. What happens in the market essentially is once interest rates get cut, the amount of money that's in supply tends to go up. And when we see that go up, we tend to see a bigger price on Bitcoin and risk assets as a whole. However, what did Fed Jerome Powell come out and say? He came out and said that the Fed has essentially left rates unchanged for its fourth meeting straight. Fed is currently uncertain and has diminished. Fed says uncertainty, has diminished, but it's still elevated. And you can see that a lot of that is coming down to the tariff tensions as well as the tensions with the world war. Fed actually lowered its estimate for GDP to 1.4% and also lifted its inflation estimate to 3%. Now, if we go back previously, we wanted to see inflation come down to approximately 2% because as that inflation came down towards the 2% target, what that does is it allows for the Fed to turn around and say, okay, maybe let's do some rate cuts. Now, I'm seeing 14 viewers and only 2 likes. Are we doing a shit job?
No, I think, did you know what the problem is?
What's going on here?
Change the screen up so we can talk.
Give me a sec. So, on top of that, now the Fed has come out and said that they're only going to be looking at 50 basis points of cuts. That means only 2 rate cuts this year. We're hoping for a lot more. But this is where it gets really interesting because the Fed has now come out and said that the likelihood of rate cuts should be coming in September.
Yes, that is
So,
correct.
me now as a trader, and something that I did not, and I've done this before, and it was something very similar. I'll just show you a chart, guys, of how I kind of tackle this. But don't need to upgrade that. But back a few months ago, we had something similar, and we were in this massive consolidation chop, and it wasn't really until the interest rates got cut that the M2 money supply then went up, and then we saw this big pump where Bitcoin essentially went from around the 49K range all the way up to around 110K. Now, I said to the Empire community, those of you who follow us in our community and are part of our community, I said to you guys, I'm like, we're going to draw in a vertical line at a certain price point, and just at that price point, that is when we are going to be looking at expecting some rate cuts. So what do we do from there? We drew that line in and we said, okay, from now until then, that's going to be my opportunity of window. That's where I'm going to be looking at dollar cost averaging. That's where I'm looking to get my buys so that when the rate cuts do come, I want to essentially run that up to wherever price then goes. A very similar situation now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark a line and I'm going to put it in September. Now, this is the thing that also needs to be considered with this is coming into September, what we're going to see is that now that Jerome Powell's come out and said, hey, rate cuts are in September, well, it's pretty relevant that, people are going to be factoring in the chance of rate cuts in September. So what does that mean? Coming into September, I want to be early. I want to get in at least a good month prior to make sure that I'm early into my trades, get my good buying orders, and then I want to run it up until when we get those rate cuts. It's all about buying the rumor sale in the news. Isn't that right, Matty?
I'm agree. I agree 100%. What I'm looking at the market at the moment is very similar. I'm looking to see what those interest rates are going to do.
Yep.
I think the big thing that we were playing out, and I'll open my chart up for you guys, similar to what Seds has got. I'm looking at the exact same
Your
thing.
screen's not working, Matty.
Oh, that's weird.
Ah. Have you got OBS on? Go tools.
OBS on.
Go teleport.
Teleport.
Teleport enabled. All right, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with Matty's screen. Give us 2 seconds. But
Weird. That's all right.
Just talk about it.
I just want to talk about it anyway. But looking at the FOMC this week when it came out, I mean, inflation is still relatively creeping up, and this is where there's a bit of a disconnect between the Fed and obviously Mr. Donald Trump calling out the Fed, saying he's the dumbest man alive, and he's going to ruin the economy, costing them billions and billions of dollars. But at the same time, I can understand where the Fed's coming from because there is right now a lot of uncertainty in the world. And considering what's going on with obviously the Israel and Iran war, this could spike out of control very, very, very fast. Obviously, it's not something that we want to occur, not just because of the financial markets, but because of the general well-being of everyone. But it is a big factor of what could play on the markets at the moment. And we've sort of seen a bit of a stall. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it, Seds. Right now, the market is relatively stalled. I mean, I opened the short from 108 and rode that down, made some good profit. But for the last 3 or 4 days, the market has just been chop. And I mean, when we say chop, it's only moved maybe 1 or 2%. It's not much. But what I don't like, and I mean, this is where I think the everyday crypto person is getting a little bit caught up. And when I say caught up, I think the expectation was obviously to have that massive altcoin run. The altcoins are just getting absolutely hammered consistently. And I think there's a valid reason for that, right? There's just the risk off sentiment right now is there. People aren't wanting to throw money at these random coins. They're not willing to go, you know what, I'm going to invest a little bit here and a little bit there because there's a potential for it going up. They're going, shit, I'm going to hold my cards really close to me because who knows where this is going to land in the next few months. And we're hoping interest rates drop, and that's going to kick off what could be the start of fiscal policy easing. But we don't know. And that's what I'm watching because at the end of the day, right now, it is a very Bitcoin heavy market. And the altcoins are going to continue to struggle, in my opinion.
Well, this is the thing that I was also looking at, Matty, is, and I did a reel about this actually a couple of days ago. It's on my Instagram for those of you who follow me. It's at Matt Sedia. And I said to everybody, I go, well, during a risk on market, when money's being printed, there's no geopolitical tensions, almost comes to a point where you can just throw a dart at any altcoin and a majority of them go up, right? But then the difference comes to when it's a risk off market. And when there is geopolitical tensions, if you're an asset manager and you're managing $500 million worth of customers' money, well, during that period, what are you going to do? You know that there's a potential of a world war that could potentially start. You know that all the tariffs and all these dramas that are currently happening, you know that it's going to cause volatility. If you're holding $500 million of people's money, chances are you're probably going to sell up some of that to go to safety and stay in safety until you know that the market conditions are more certain. Then once you know the market conditions are more certain, you have a higher chance of jumping back in the market. And I think that's a lot of what we are seeing right now. It's just too much uncertainty. And it's gotten to the point where this happens often, but when you do have uncertainty, you can have the best announcements in the world. One of them that we're tracking right now is Solana. We know that
Yes.
there's going to be a Solana ETF, and it's most likely going to be coming very soon. Now, you can see that it's gotten to the point where they've handed in their final forms. We have Marty Party here on X coming out and saying that, they've even now got the ticker BSOL. That's going to be the Van Eck Solana ETF. And it's gotten to the point now where it's almost ready to be approved. But looking at the chart, mate, it's not going anywhere. Like looking at the chart, like we open up Solana here, let's go Sol USDT, and because we're degens, we traded on perpetuals, so we're going to open up perpetuals. And look, even if the best news that could potentially happen for a coin, we're making lower highs.
Yeah.
And that's something that needs to be considered. Like for me personally, I'm going to be looking around that 120 area, trying to snag some entries around that, and it wouldn't surprise me if these institutions, they're shifty pricks and they want to fill their bags. So it probably wouldn't surprise me if we sweep that bottom low just one time before and then heading up coming into September.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, for me, I'll paint the narrative. And what I'll do is I'll get my narrative and say, okay, if we're going to run in September, I'm going to use this time to start buying. I know Matty trades a little bit different. Matty Stella here, he's more along the sides of just entering, exiting, and trading and being in and out, and that's great. We both have different perspectives, and I think everyone being able to trade should have their own kind of strategy on how they do it. But that's more my kind of take on what I'm doing, just slowly DCAing into Solana.
Yep.
What do you think?
So basically, I'll show you guys. I think my screen's working now, but
All right.
I think it was just a bit of a technical glitch with OBS.
We're
But
back on.
there
There
we
you
go. So guys, I spoke about this as well on a reel. Did one earlier in the week about the ETF. Now, reality is this is in filing at the moment. The earliest potential date for this is probably mid-July. Now, that's not guaranteed. It is sort of the talk of the town, put it that way. But realistically, the deadline for this is October 2025. So it could be still a little while away. But the earliest aspect and what everyone's expecting is around that mid-July area anyway. But as you can see with my chart, I've got a point there. My DCA point is what I call it. But anything amongst that yellow section, this is what I covered on Monday, and I covered on my reel. Same thing. We give a shout out, Matt Stella _ right? But guys, down to that 120 point is what I was looking at. I've already got a bag of Solana at the moment. I'm happy to hold that into a drawdown point around that 120 because equally, if these war tensions all of a sudden do cool off, I personally don't believe there's much holding the market back anyways. As soon as we do start to get a rate decrease and things like that, and M2 minus supply is starting to go up, we could see what we're expecting is quite a boom across the markets, and obviously not guaranteed. But from a Solana perspective, guys, I am watching very similar to SEDS. This bottom of the range here has held up significantly and has held up since basically the start of March 2024, and is an area of significant interest that I'm after. But until this volumetric order zone is broken, and what I mean by that is basically a point in time where a lot of transactions have taken place, I'm simply just looking at this and going, well, hey, I'm not going to panic. Equally, I'm comfortable to DCA at a lower point. And like I said, is saying, we ran that Bitcoin ETF perfectly. We followed the narrative for the ETH ETF as well.
Yep.
And we topped out that around 3.8K. And we called that. And I called that to a T. And I said, guys, this is an opportunity to take profit. You guys do what you want. But my situation, I sold the ETH bag and that was it. Happy days. But guys, it is just something to be mindful of because the market is so volatile at the moment. The last thing you want to do is just get trapped in the market, right?
That's the worst thing ever when you've entered along because you think there's going to be a breakout. I'll show you guys. There's just something that we're looking at. I was mentoring a couple of students over the last couple of days, and we're actually talking about ETH. And look, I am very bullish on ETH. I think that over the next coming weeks, we saw the Genius bill went ahead and is pretty much approved. I can just open up that right now. So this is important because now that the Genius bill is getting ready to be approved, you can see Donald Trump, he come out and said it's going to make America the undisputed leader in digital assets, nobody better, blah, blah, blah. He goes, the House will finally move lightning fast. That's very bullish for the crypto space. He goes, it'll pass a clean Genius Act, get it on my desk ASAP, no delays, no add-ons. And as soon as that gets passed, I think we're going to see a bit of a DeFi narrative start to take place. But also, I'm pretty confident that we're going to also see some of the Ethereum staking infrastructure start to be put in. And now that'll allow for the institutional investors now to start staking on the ETH ETFs. And if you think about it like this, if you go right now and you buy the Bitcoin ETF, well, if Bitcoin isn't going up, you're not earning anything. And you got to think like traditional stock markets. How do people like to act in traditional stock markets? They want to see dividends. Yeah. They want to, if they're buying something and they're earning money on what the price goes up or down, let's just say, but then they're also earning like 4% a year, just extra cash flow. That's going to be really appetizing to these investors in ETH. And as soon as staking comes in, I'm going to be watching coins like Aave and CRV because I think a lot of money will flow into ETH so that people can get those staking rewards. And these big institutions putting in $4 million a year. If they're $100 million, if they're getting 4% on that from the ETH staking, well, that's already an extra $4 million a year. That's incredible for them and also for the ROI. Like some banks, I don't know what they're giving you on interest rate right now, but it's
Probably not
great.
too much.
No, so let's just take a quick look at my chart, and you can see that we had this breakout, and it trapped a lot of people. There was a really good level of resistance, but when we got the breakout to the top side, what we can see was that there was just a massive bearish divergence that played out in the 4 hour. And more or less, that was telling us that, hey, this is a fake out. Sellers are starting to step in. The buying pressure is weakening off. Now, looking at the ETH chart, I'll be honest with you, I can see that, there's a support level that's bounced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. What's interesting about this is how many, you got to think of it like this as a trader. How many people took longs here? How many people took longs here? How many people longed here? How many people longed here? There's probably stop losses sitting below these areas, probably somewhere down here. I don't know. I have to look at liquidation map, but there is probably like hundreds of millions of dollars of stop losses. Now, if I'm an institution and I want to go buy $500 million worth of ETH in one hit, problem is if I buy that whole $500 million worth, price is probably going to go bang. I'm just going to market order and price is going to hit like, 20%, 30% more, whatever it may be, right? I don't know the exact figure. But if I know that there's $500 million of stop losses sitting there, I can set my limit order below. If I'm a big whale, I can manipulate the price. That's what we all know these market makers, that's what they tend to do. They'll manipulate the price, stop out those $500 million worth. That'll cause a cascade of selling pressure. Bang, that'll fill their order. It'll spring back up and they'll run it up. What do you reckon about that, Matty? So what's your thoughts on that?
I've got a very similar chart to SED's. Mine's got probably a little bit more on it, but what I'd like to add to SED's one there, and not to go too deep into it, but keeping it really simple is I'm running the same channel, right? You've got between 2,400 and roughly 2,700. That's where ETH has been ranging for quite a while, since the 10th of May, right? Keeps bouncing. There's two things I'm watching. I'm watching the 50 and the 200 EMA because it keeps respecting it. And I'm watching the order zone that's now being created below. So there is a significant level of support forming. I think if anything, similar to what you're saying from a liquidity grab perspective, down to that $2,375 mark was probably where they would wick it down to before, again, just holding that level. If that level there breaks, then I'm putting money on it. We'll see $2,000 ETH again.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think it all comes down to what's going to happen with those geopolitical tensions over the next couple of days.
That's going to be huge.
Yeah, because what we know is that when Bitcoin dumps, altcoins tend to dump with it. And guys, just another reminder, if you've got some value from this call so far, please smash the like button for us. It does help us so much.
We have to do the YouTuber thing now, right? Smash the like button, comment,
hit subscribe,
share the hell out of it.
Drop a comment, share it with your mates. We're giving you free value. Just help us out. We help you. We help.
You know what the thing is, right? All our following is on Facebook.
I know, that's the
so
thing.
Our following now has to be developed across other mediums, guys.
Yeah, it does. But look, getting back onto topic, so we are seeing a very escalated war starting to happen. And if we're going to have a look at, what happened over the last week, well, there was rumors that Trump was going to join the war. And that then caused a bit more of a risk-off sentiment. But from that announcement, that then turned into, hey, we're just going to fly planes over and just like monitor the situation. So it hasn't broken out into a bigger war yet. But what I am considering, and this is a post here from Tristan, Donald Trump often pulls what I've called the Trump maneuver. And he's done this throughout a lot of the tariff deals as well. And what he's more or less saying is like he will get pissed off and he'll put out some outrageous things. Like he'll say, we're going to do a 500% tariff. I don't know, whatever it is. But then what will happen from that is the people that he's threatening, he'll threaten the worst case scenario. From that, they'll come back to him and they'll start to negotiate a deal. And I think he's trying to do something very similar in Iran. Whilst this could be big FUD, this could go two ways. If a deal is made, we could see risk on back into the market. People be more confident. But history tells us usually we get a bit of a risk off sentiment first. Now, over the last couple of days, the recent developments, we can see that apparently now this came out today, lunchtime here. Trump is now apparently planning to attack Iran. And this could be like that final level of, hey, this is the last bit of FUD.
Well, this is an interesting point that you're making
Yeah.
because Russia also stepped in here and said, hey, throwing around these sort of comments
Yeah.
isn't the ideal way to work around this, right? So
Yeah.
this is a cautious approach because it's not only the US stepping in now, it's other big political powers saying, hey, let's stay out of this.
Mm.
And that's the advice from other countries. It's stay out of it,
Yeah.
let them deal with it. And whether or not it's the right move or not, we're not experts to signal otherwise. But even with the Pakistan government coming in as well, talking about nuclear threats, it's just this could escalate very, very fast. And from a personal perspective, and same with yourself, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
I'm cautious. I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket at this point in time in the markets.
Yeah, no, me neither. And like I'm also looking at this and saying, what's next? Like, is this going to fizzle out? And I'll tell you why this is so important, because this affects the price of oil.
Yes.
There's now stories coming out that Iran is threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz, and that's where all the oil goes through. And the issue with
It's
that is
20% of the global supply.
30% of the world's
Huge.
oil and gas supply.
That is massive.
Now, if that gets taken out of circulation, 30% less oil and gas, that's going to drive up the prices of oil and gas, which then drive up the everyday cost of living goods and services.
What does that drive up?
Inflation. And then where's your rate cuts? Puh, you're not getting them, mate.
Because as Nondo would say back in the day, no
Rate
worries,
cuts,
see you
puh,
later.
it's not happening. That's it. And then that'll basically like stuff everything up for us, and that's not what we want. So we do need to go and watch basically what is developing here. And look, there was a Simpsons thing. I don't want to be a fearmonger, but apparently the Simpsons predicted it's going to be the end of the world yesterday. We made it past that. So
We don't
let's
want
hope.
that. We just built this whole podcast studio.
Fuck, I know, man. We just got the lights ready, and they're going to go blow us up. Come on, man. Nah, but like let's hope for peace in everywhere. We don't want to see war, and as soon as we can get towards the end of the situation, the market starts to turn risk on.
Yeah.
We'll be back on this podcast shilling altcoins left, right, and center.
Hey, I've
Ones
got
that
one
we're
I want
buying.
to shield, but
Do you?
not want to shield, but I want to talk about.
All right, let's
But
talk
before
about
we
it.
jump into it, I do want to give the shout out to our mentorship members because the last 5 weeks they've done an exceptional job. So I know a lot of you guys are on this call, but they've been in action for the last 5 weeks, working with us for the last 2 hours a night. The guys have put in an exceptional amount of effort. So big shout out to you guys. Absolutely have smashed it. And if you guys want to catch up with them, you can jump into the Facebook group or in the Empire platform and check out all their work. But guys, one coin I am talking about at the moment is
I can't believe you're about to share this, bro. I can't believe it.
Look, guys, for the people that are in Facebook and have known me for a while, I don't usually play in this space, right? But I got to the point recently where the market was there it goes. The market's been playing some wonderful games with us, right? And I said to myself, look, even though I'm able to trade, I've made some money. You know what? I'm just going to pause for a
Made
bit.
some money, mate. I'll tell you something. Made some money. This guy. We call him the Bank of Stella for a reason, but
but in reality, guys, what I am playing around with at the moment is this token here. It's called Little Pepe. I've done a couple of reels on it. I just put another one out today to give everyone an update. I've brought a little bit worth. We'll put it that way. This has an expectation. There's a lot of PR going on about it at the moment. Now, with any sort of token like this, guys, I can't be any more crystal clear. You only risk what you're willing to lose, because even though this could present a simple and reasonable gain, it could also be a complete rug pull that goes completely down to the floor and you lose absolutely everything. Hence why I need to be very clear about that. But I want to show you guys something, because we brought into this, well, I brought into it anyway, and I did a reel on it at stage 2. Still very, very early days. If you look up Little Pepe, there is pages and pages of articles available. But this is the kicker. This is what I got excited about yesterday. You'll see here, guys. Let me just zoom in. I've got in here stage 2 at 0.011. Now, this is going up to pre-sale stage of stage 19. That is 160% gain before it even goes to a sex listing. Now,
The sex listing.
Sex listing, right?
Centralized exchange listing.
Centralized exchange.
What are you
We've
talking
got to be
about over
very,
here?
very crystal clear about that one.
Mate, we just made it into the triple
Right?
X category.
But the big thing here, guys, is that's 160% gain. The founders of this project are also suggesting that they've already lined up 2 major crypto exchange listings as well. So we could see volume tip into this pretty quickly. And it's something that I'm in. I'm going to let this play it out. I don't think I'm going to invest any more unless I get some really big news behind it that's going to help, like, really accelerate that fact. And from a launch perspective, there was a bit of rumors around January 2026, so I'm just going to monitor this closely. I'm going to keep posting updates about it. Again, guys, this could be a complete rug, so please be careful with what you're investing.
Full disclaimer, this is a risky token to look at. And look, guys, during a time when the market is risk off, usually you do see altcoins, meme coins sell off first. Think of it in the risk curve, meme coins are the riskiest. But when the market does recover, these days, meme coins are just like they're the buzz.
Well, there's also the fact that this is the way I looked at it from my perspective, right?
Yeah.
I go, how annoying is the market been for some traders, right? This sort of coin here, it doesn't care what Bitcoin does.
Look, it hasn't even been launched.
Like, it hasn't even been launched, but these shit meme coins, and that's what I'm calling them. They call them shit coins for a reason.
Well, yeah.
They just pump off crap. So it's not an investment, it's a gamble.
Yeah.
And I always say to everyone, my portfolio is very, as you would know, very risk off, very conservative.
Yeah.
Incremental gains. And this sort of stuff, I just have a little pocket bag.
Well, look,
have a little playtime with.
On the safer side of altcoins, I'm going to make a deal. If we can get to 20 likes, I can see we have 20 concurrent viewers and only 7 likes. If we can get to 20 likes, I'm going to share 2 altcoins that I'm currently watching. I'll give the guys a couple of minutes. But Matty, with that little Pepe, you're right. Like, it's looking good. It's looking risky, but it's also giving you the opportunity where, you know, if this does go to stage 19, which is what's predicted, by the time it gets there, then what you could see is the price is 106% up, and that's before the point that it's actually launched. Then see what happens when it gets on the exchange.
You know, my favorite thing to do is
what?
Sell on launch.
Oh yeah, me too. No, 100%. I like what Milan is saying in the chat. He's saying that so I was just loading up the video so I can see. Well, 8 likes still. Looks like I'm not sharing those coins. Milan's saying, can you sell before stage 19? Nah, man.
No, you can't. It's not claimable until stage 19.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, if you're going to be locked up, don't lock up too much of your capital.
I'll be honest with you, man. I put like $100 in it. Like whatever I was happy to lose.
I might have put $1,000 just as an FYI.
Good luck to the rich. Anyway, so look, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Let's leave it there for now. That's an altcoin to look at. That's basically what's happening in the market this week. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel because we are going to be doing these weekly updates. And when we do get to better market conditions, there's going to be a lot more to talk about. Right now, the whole market's basically stalled. We're paused. We're waiting for a resolution. The point where we're going to turn risk on. Sorry, guys.
Those double patty burgers hitting you hard.
They fucked me. Yeah. We're waiting for the market to turn risk on. And until we get that, I think it's going to be a bit quiet. So just don't go too heavy with your risk. Take care in the markets. Don't think that these announcements that you're going to see are just going to boom the price. Because even with what we're seeing right now with Solana, like, this is the best news you could possibly see for an asset. And look at, well, the likes are going up. We got 11. All right, you know what?
I will say, but
I'll say forget 15. 15 likes and I'll drop the
Solana ETF, and you know me, like, I mainly trade based upon the charts. You're obviously the more fundamentals, and we sort of combine that together.
Yeah, we do.
But I really do like the avenue of the Solana ETF, and I think one thing that we didn't cover is the fact that none of these institutions have pockets of Solana at the moment.
I think there's
whereas
a little
they
bit,
did with the fact of like Bitcoin and so forth. So they were selling into the pressure as well.
Yeah,
right?
Well, that's right. If we go back and have a look at Grayscale, let me just open up the coin.
We're opening up another can of worms here, guys. You might want to stick around for
we've got another couple minutes to get another 3 more likes. We're giving you guys some time. We want to help you, you know.
I will say we are doing a crypto event next week in Melbourne. So if you are free next Friday, hit us up. We're going to be in Melbourne CBD for a couple of drinks and some hangout with our community. You're more than welcome to join us. Bring a friend or so, and we'll have some fun for the night.
Yeah, come and hang out with us now while we've got not many subscribers, because then later when we've got 100K, he's going to be like, oh, I met him when he was small. You know, true? True. Once we get famous. Come on, lads, 15 likes. Milanos, 15 likes. Now we're at 14, bruv. It says 14 on my screen. We need one more. We need one more, bro. We need one more. Let's just quickly discuss this. So, now when the Bitcoin ETF launched, there was...
Share your screen.
Oops, my bad.
There we go.
When the Bitcoin ETF launched, there was 2 ETFs at a time, and there was this Grayscale GBTC. and they were holding 620,000 Bitcoin at a time. The issue that came from this was, this ETF, the fees were very high, and in the new ETFs that launched, the fees were much, much lower. Now, what we saw was people actually sold their Bitcoin out of this ETF and then moved into the new ETF with the lower fee, which is, pretty much a smarter thing to do. Like anyone would do that.
Yeah.
But it caused a lot of selling pressure on the market. And basically now they're only holding 185K. If you go back and have a look at Bitcoin, I'm actually really enjoying streaming, bro, by the way.
Yeah,
Just
no,
wanna
it's
say,
quite
well
fun.
done,
I
mate.
like it.
I don't mind. We stay on for a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
it's all right. It's all right. It's actually like a lot of fun.
It's Friday night. After this, we wrap it up.
And we have a beer. Go and have a look at Bitcoin during that period of time. What we saw was, because it had so much selling pressure, we almost put in, I know Matty's going to not be too happy when I say this, but it put in like a Wyckoff accumulation range. Matty hates the Wyckoff accumulation ranges, but you can see here, don't even say
I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not even talking about
But
it.
essentially there was your sideways channel here, came down below, it dipped. The big guys, they accumulated right here, and bang, then we went up. And that's why when I was opening up my Solana chart, I was like, well, you know what? This time around, there's not many people to go and dump their bags
No,
because
there's not.
there's like
That's
only
the
30.
benefit right now.
Yeah, there's much, much smaller. But the difference in this kind of instance is that we have obviously war tensions, and that could
Yes.
push us down. All right, we got 15 likes. So,
Ooh.
all right.
What altcoin do you have planned?
Well, I got two.
You got two.
I got two. Oh, you know what? I got to drop it for two. I have
I
to
reckon you drop one.
drop one.
Yeah, I'm just going to be conservative about this one. Drop one. Save the
Nah.
next one for next week's stream.
Nah. I promised the community two, and you know what? I'm not one.
Fine.
You know what? I'm not one to dog the boys, all right, and the girls,
And the ladies.
and the ladies. Yeah, the boys. Yeah, the girls. So YTG, YTB. Let's get stuck into it. This is what we are going to share. All right. So first off, one that I'm looking at is Say. You can see that Say right now, it's hit a really nice bottom. What I do like about Say is they're about to launch a thing called Monad. What that allows is for a parallel chain where they can handle lots and lots of transactions at fast speeds. If we go have a look at Say on the charts, and guys, before we do look at the charts, this is not financial advice. I'm just showing you take this from an educational perspective only. If we're having a look at Say, you can see that it's not yet a bullish divergence, but it is a very early sign of something that wants to turn around. We could see this start to move up. I do want to see it reclaim this level of support around the 22 cents. And if it does, I think that we could see a nice juicy run up to around the
Hey,
60
we dropped a
cents
like.
range. Oh, wait, someone unliked us.
Pause. I reckon Milan's playing games here.
I'm telling you, Milan.
It's definitely Milan. He's playing
man.
games.
Another one that I'm watching aside from Say, well, this Say is a little bit more higher risk because we have less confirmations. As Solana pumps, one coin that tends to go with it, Solana moves, this goes too. We tend to see Radium, and you can see that right now, whilst none of these coins may be good to buy right this minute, maybe something you write down, you go do some technical analysis on. Radium right now is quite cheap. It's down 7.7% at the $2.10 range. Now, Radium is the largest DEX on Solana, and what we find is that when Solana pumps, you can go back and, you know what, let's just do it together real quick before we wrap it up. We'll put Solana in one chart, so Sol, USDT, Perpetual.
Maybe just close these. It makes on the screen.
Oh, yeah, there
we
you
go.
Yeah. So let's open up Sol, and we'll just put that on the daily real quick, and then on the left-hand side, let's look at Radium. So Ray, USDT.P. And we'll just open that up on the Big Get exchange. And what you'll see is that there's a direct correlation. So you can see here, Solana found a bottom. What happened? Radium went up with it. And then what we saw here was this was about 100% move that we seen on Solana. Where for Radium, we saw a much bigger move, about 170%. So that's definitely one coin to watch, considering the fact of this whole Solana ETF coming into fruition. One of the leading Solana altcoins, something that I want to eyes on. I think that's enough for now.
That's good.
I think that's enough. I think we've done good today, guys.
That classifies as two altcoins, so I'm good to go.
That's your two altcoins.
Yeah.
That's actually like four altcoins, really. It was like ETH, Solana, but they're like blue chips.
Very right.
And then we had Radium and Stay. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments right now if you enjoyed this stream, if there's anything that you'd like to see else in this stream. It was a pleasure to deliver this content to you all.
Always a pleasure. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend.
Have a great
We'll
weekend.
see you guys Monday.
See you next week. We're going to be doing heaps of these streams as well. So
Yeah.
probably a couple of week.